being carried by more than 20 top stations around the country. However, every great show and crew have unique beginnings. How did you personally get your start in the music and radio industry?
I needed a summer job, so I took a sales job in radio, and I was doing that for about a month, and I was pretty good at it. I was selling all kinds of commercials and ads and stuff like that, and one Friday afternoon, I sold this auto parts place a spot an hour for a weekend because they had some big sale going on. By the time I got to the radio station, any talent that could cut the commercial was gone. So I ended up doing it thinking I'm going to get yelled at and get a beating for it, but there was nobody to cut it. It's either lose the money or do it. So I did, and I got a call from the program director early Saturday morning, which was like 2 hours after I finished the spot. I was up all night doing it because I didn't know what I was doing. And he said, you ever thought about being on the radio? And I went, no. He's like, do you want to be? I'm like, yeah, as long as it's not on the weekends. And he's like, well, that's when it would be. And I'm like, well, I have a really good weekend job. I was making surfboards. And I was getting paid like $700, a weekend to sand and glass, 30 or 40 surfboards. And it was just total balling money for that age, I mean, I had so much more money than my friends, and it's like, but, I did the walk away, like a hot chick would or something. I was like, no, it's cool. I don't want to do it. And, he came back 2 or 3 times and asked me to do it. Finally, during the middle of the week when I could, and man, I was on for 15 minutes and I loved it. It was amazing. So I was hooked because, man, I was so into music and rock, and that's all I did was sit in my room and listen to Aerosmith and The Who and Steely Dan and Floyd and, rock radio. I mean, I totally envisioned myself doing it. So I took the opportunity and went with it. Ended up going full time, eventually into management a few years later, and ultimately into the record industry for 4 years back in the late 80s, early 90s. And out of that is where I met Terry. We had a good time at a party. We were giving each other a bunch of crap and everything and became friends. So when I went back to radio, the morning show at the station I was returning to had dissipated. So I hired him, and we were going to find somebody to work with him because it wasn't going to be me. And after 3 or 4 weeks of looking for somebody and doing the show with him, he just said, why don't you do it? Why don't you just do the show with me? He goes, it's working. It's good. I said,
it's good.
I said, all right, sure. And there we went from there.
Awesome. Well, has the show transformed at all since you first started it in Jacksonville?
Yes and no. I mean, we've become, more of a content type show because you can only have, strippers and, tigers, and, people lighting themselves on fire for so long. When you become a certain age, it becomes creepy, that you're, that's still what you're doing, in your 40s and whatever.
It works with Howard Stern. I mean, he's still Howard Stern.
Yeah, I mean, not as much as he used to be,
Well, I think you're right about the whole creepy factor, and you have to age with your audience.
Yeah, and you can't make comparisons with Howard. He's so good at manipulating what he does in his audience. He knows.
There's no one who can get away with what he can get away with.
I've never seen anybody with more self-awareness than Howard. He knows where he is in the business and life and at all times, and that's the part of him that we try to role model from is the career stuff, not so much the show and what he does on it, but just knowing where you are. That was one of those decisions when we were in our 40s. It's like, let's not do that anymore. Let's morph the show a little bit, but the people on it are still the people on it. They are, we always have had, great role players on the show. All we ask out of them is to be themselves, do what they do. And I think where Terry and I are strong is we are good at making people their best as them. We are good character builders.
Nice. I want to drive back to something that you said about the record industry. So were you producing records? Were you doing A&R? What were you doing in the record industry piece?
I was kind of doing promotion more than anything. But really my job was I was producing syndication for Album Network. We were also a entity that helped the record companies push their products.
Nice.
You know, we had some great additions to radio and to rock culture from that place. We got a lot of things played, including grunge in the beginning when nobody wanted to touch it. We got it played, you know. And
thank you. I like grunge.
Yeah. I mean, the first time I saw Nirvana was a showcase at a bar down the street from the office. It was a Friday night, and we were all like, "Oh God, we got to go see whatever this is." And I'll never forget it. I mean, this guy just walks up, he goes, "Hi, I'm Kirk." You know, and it was just like, wow, I like this guy, you know. And they just started coming in a fury after that. You know, Black Crowes and Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, Stone Temple, just one after another after another. It was amazing.
That is amazing.
You know,
I know every single band you said.
Yeah, and of course we were doing world premieres of Van Halen records and Guns N' Roses records, and I mean it was cool to be in rooms with Robert Plant for a couple hours by yourself, or Slash, or Springsteen, or you know, I mean, just it didn't get any cooler. I'm so glad I got to do it. I'm so glad I got to see how the wheels of the music industry work, because it's a business like no other business out there. It works backwards in every way from most businesses. And it's fascinating. It really is.
So talk to me about, as an artist, right? So you first saw Kurt Cobain in a showcase. Like on Talent Joe, we have a lot of absolutely phenomenal, amazing artists. And they're always looking for ways to showcase themselves, ways to meet the right people. That's why they're on Talent Joe, because we shortcut that process. But as someone who puts indie artists, do you put indie artists on the radio? And if so, what do you look for? What is it that catches your eye? And what do they need to do? What do they need to be? And how polished do they need to be before they get to you?
To me, any music star or actor has it. You can't even describe what it is. You just see them and something emotes off of them that is undeniable, you know. And if you don't see it at first, because there are some artists it's more clothed, you know, than others, but I just have to say that you got to believe in yourself. You got to go out there, and if there's 5 people there to see you, you got to sell it out. And if you're in like the rap industry, you got to make sure known rappers get your product. They get to hear it. That's how Eminem got discovered. That's how a lot of rappers got discovered, by established rap and hip hop artists. You got to send this stuff to people. You got to dig and find where they are and get it to them, because you never know when your Dr. Dre moment's going to be, like it was with Eminem. And it's like, get him, find him, you know?
Okay.
You know, you got to be a self-promoter. You got to be somebody that is endlessly branding yourself, tirelessly branding yourself. And, you know, that's what we try to do with our product too, because that's the only way people sit up and notice. And everything's much more the Wild West right now. Everything's much more, you know, freewheeling right now. Record companies can actually be a detrimental to some artist. You know, a detriment to some artist. They can. You know, they can stop their career in its tracks. Some, it's exactly what they need. So it's kind of a call the artist has to make when the time comes. You get with the wrong label or wrong management, you're screwed. So do
you guys play indie artists? Do you have like a segment on our radio show locally? They have like the up and comers, and they'll play like 5 new artists and we vote on them, and then that one actually goes into rotation. Do you have anything like that?
Ours is kind of meaner. It's It's called the Music Meeting, which we've had some really good artists, come on the Music Meeting, and none of them have gone on and done anything, but some really good products come across there. But some really bad stuff has too, and that's but it's getting exposed, and we try not to be too judgmental of it. Some of it is just stuff out of the realm of what we'd listen to. We can't even tell if it's bad or not to somebody in that genre, but we can't help ourselves. And we try to say before it starts, it's like, look, we're just a bunch of idiots. Don't, and they know that before they send it. So it's okay, but at least they're going for it. At least it's like, hey, I'm good and I'm sending this. And some of them really are.
Nice. So you and Terry have a nickname. It's called The Givers.
That's right.
So talk to me about that. What is this nickname and where does it come from?
It came from day one of the show, actually. We had this guy on. His name was Ross Jeffries, and he had a book called How to Get the Women You Desire into Bed. And the station had never seen anything like that before. And Terry and I and this guy were just cutting up and just running over people and having a blast. And the hotline rings, and it's my boss. And he says, "Do you see our switchboard?" He says, "They hate you. They hate you." And he goes, if this is what the show's going to be, I want Terry on a plane back to California now. So we went into my office, cut the show short, went into my office, and we were like looking at each other and we're kind of laughing. And I said, yeah, maybe we shouldn't have dove in so fast, with the people in the building having a show on before that was very vanilla and very... Well,
You're
it was very
vanilla.
Also. There's a reason it got replaced, but
yeah.
And so we just started going down the hall and grabbing staplers and pens and pencils and started giving them away. So it's like, since we're not allowed to have guys on talking about how to get women into bed, why don't we just give stuff away? We're the givers. Woo! That type of thing. I mean, really, really kind of a dicky fashion, to be honest with you. It was like, whatever. And it just stuck, and never got.
But do you still give stuff away?
Yeah. I mean, but real stuff now, back then it was like we'd walk in and grab a stapler out of a girl's hand and go, give me that. We'd be like on the phone going, hey, do you like that stapler? Yeah, it's great. Well, it's ours now. Now it's a listener's, and we give it away.
Now it's a listener, right? So
it's like 3 weeks later, it's like it cost us $400 in office supplies. It's like, sorry.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
So that's a great bit. What are some of the other bits? I hear you have ding dong ditch. How do you actually do that? Do you have somebody out in the field who just goes and presses door?
Well, originally it was us. I mean, two grown men.
What?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Originally it was us. We'd go out and, we'd have a getaway car and we'd just go up to a house. And it started out, you just ring and run, but then it became chicken doorbell ditch, where you wait for the person to turn the knob and then you take off. And then, then people are getting creeped out because these grown men, running neighborhoods doing this. So we started getting other people to do it on the show that were like younger and more mischievous looking,
And you don't get in trouble for that?
We got in trouble for a lot of stuff. I mean, my favorite bit ever was Drunk Bitch Friday, but it got to the point where nobody would air it.
Drunk what?
Drunk Bitch Friday.
Drunk Bitch Friday.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me more.
Very simple premise. You bring a girl in that wants to get drunk. She's got her best friend with her. We hired a police officer, EMTs, had drunk driving messages going out through the show to take the sting off of it a little bit. But she ultimately would hang out and just drink while we do the show. And when you get about 2 hours into the show, she just starts mouthing off and saying, like no filter type stuff. And really the thing that killed that bit was cell phones. It was like, mad boyfriends being able to get a hold of them, texting them and stuff like that, saying, what are you saying on there? I'm done with you. That type. I mean, guys started dumping their chicks every Friday and stuff.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So we just.
Oh, you need the single girls. You need to bring the single girls on. I have a new bit for you. It's going to be a setup Friday. So drunk bitch blind date Friday.
Yeah, we've done some of that. We've done Dream Date. We've done stuff like that before. It is it's hard to do it on a network because you got 20 cities and all your digital and all that, so it's hard to connect people like that now. When you were just in Jacksonville, it was easy because you knew both people lived there. So,
that's very true.
Yeah, so becomes
so. Where can people see you if they're not in those 20 cities? Where can they tune in?
They can get us lots of ways. If you go to lexandterry.com, you can hear our live stream. And just click on the logo. It says Listen Live. You can also watch us on livestream.com/Lex and Terry. And that's on live every day and runs the whole day afterwards. Both of those do that. And we also have our podcast on LT2, which is on lexandterry.com too.
Nice. So we have paid subscriptions on Talent Joe that actually gives people an enhanced experience. Is that what you're doing with Sudden Death? Is that how that works?
That is what Sudden Death is, and that is where we can do the things you can't do on regular radio. The content is always very, shall we say, racy. We talked the other day about a new sex toy that's out that,
nice.
Took care of a really twisted fantasy, like one that's like really wrong. You wouldn't even want to talk about this on real radio, because it had to do with an alien type thing, an alien impregnation thing. It was really messed up, so that's never going to make it on real radio.
No,
not the way we want it to sound. So
no. So talk to me about the future of radio. So I'm here at NAB show, and a few years ago, the head of the FCC told the broadcasters, "Hey, you're about to lose it to the streamies." And as it stands right now, more people subscribe to streaming services than subscribe to cable. So he was right, and that's happening, and everything's transitioning. So what does it look like in radio? Because I know that when I'm in the car, I'm listening to the radio, and I don't have a satellite radio. I'm actually listening to my real everyday radio, and remarkably, I actually remember the commercials, and I actually call those vendors. So it's the only place to get.
Real radio is still the best. I disagreed 8 or 9 years ago that you should be pushing your content to a website and that people should be able to stream it on there. You're slitting your own throat by doing that. I never understood why somebody would cannibalize themselves and send people to their website instead of to a rated area, that Arbitron is going to rate you by. It was just the craziest thing to me, but they did it. The biggest broadcast companies all fell in line and started pushing everything there, even though they didn't know how to sell it. So they literally legitimized the medium for people. And if it were me, if I would have been king of all broadcasting 10 years ago, I would have been locking up the Hannitys and Rushes and Lex and Terrys and everybody else and saying, no, you're not podcasting, you're not streaming. The only place they can find you is on the radio, and I would have given the industry more legs for longer years. I mean, that's the way I would have put it.
I think you're right, because what happened, especially with television, is when they were selling, because it goes back to commercials and who's paying for you and what's the value, like you were talking about with Arbitron and the ratings. And in television, what they did was like, we'll sell you the commercials at this, and then we'll throw in the digitals, the redheaded stepchildren, which is actually where all the money is and where all the tracking and the metrics are, is right in the digital, because you can track it, right? Yeah. And all the way through the click-through process to see if it came to a conversion. Whereas with broadcast and radio, it's a push, and you can kind of tell if you use specific phone numbers, but it's a much harder tracking process. And because they did that, they trained all the advertisers that the digital was cheap or free. And that's where they're having this issue right now. So I think radio is in a much better position than television because you didn't do that so much.
Yeah, I mean, it's not too late to turn back the clock and do that with their talent, although it would be a very difficult thing to do, negotiating with agents and stuff like that at this point. They'd be like, oh, no, you're not taking control of that now.
No, I already own those rights.
Yeah. But back 10 years ago, they should have done it. And I don't care if people don't agree with me. I know that's what have given radio more longevity than it's ultimately going to have. Although I think it has a really long way to go. There's still a lot of legs left in radio, a lot of revenue left in radio. Everything is good as long as they realize where their focus should be, which I think is in content. It's if somebody has Spotify or iTunes, to take care of their selfish musical needs and build their own playlists and stuff, they're going to be the best program director for them there ever was. So to me, taking 100,000 watt signal and playing nothing but music on it is crazy, absolutely crazy.
It's right. And I think you have a point because the interaction, I love when you said, when you and Terry first met, you started ripping on each other right away. Because in my family, if they don't like you, they're really nice and polite. They pick on you right away. That's just it. It's, it's back and forth banter and hit jobs. It's awesome.
Yeah, we were,
and that makes it camaraderie. Huh?
We were pretty hated inside the radio station the first year. I mean, it was, just relentless, irreverent behavior on our part because we thought we were great. I thought it was a great show from day one. So did Terry. But in Arbitron, which isn't like metrics, you don't see the greatness as it happens. It happens later. So there's this 3 to 6 month period that's extremely uncomfortable in the building because you can feel it outside. You can feel the buzz on the phones. You can feel it when you go out in public and stuff like that, but it's not transcending the ratings yet. And you're still having doors shut as you walk down the hallway and people treating you like crap and not wanting to get you in front of clients because they don't think you're going to be there. And we were just total a-holes to everybody. It's like, we're going to remember you and you and you because we're going number one. And we did.
And did you remember them and did they pay later?
Bet your ass we did. Sorry.
So what advice? No, that's fine. So what advice do you have? And we have musicians on Talent Joe, but we also have, I'm a talk show host. A bunch of other people are multiples. They do multiple things. So what advice do you have? I mean, has the radio industry changed to such an extent that you can turn yourself into a Lex and Terry without having a 100,000 watt station behind you? Can you do it on your own? Or do you really need that terrestrial kicker?
When you have a program director telling you to hit your brakes and, only talk for this long and stuff like that, if you ever are going to be anything, you have to break those rules. You have to. I was the program director at the time. I had to break my own rules. Then I had to answer to the other day parts as to why I didn't follow my own rules. But it was just a thing to do.
You didn't abide by the radio clock?
No, everybody else had to, but not us. The morning show's a different deal. It always has been, always will be. It's what carries the station. And it's just, it's the one show you shouldn't have any rules on. And if your station does, you should get rid of them. You really should. You should let these guys fall down and get up as many times as possible and tell them that nothing is wrong. Nothing. Except sucking. Sucking is wrong. Sucking is
wrong.
Yeah. But everything else, trying something and having it fail, so what? People are rooting for you if that happens. That's the thing we were good at is if we tried something and it fell flat on its face, we just laugh at it, and go, man, that was horrible. People will call up and go, you guys suck. That was horrible. It's like, yeah, it was bad. But tomorrow we're going to try this, And it works. Everything Terry said held true. And that was, if we were true to ourselves and just were the total douchebags to each other, we always had been from the beginning, that we would be successful, and we are.
I love it. So where do you see the show maturing from here? We had talked about growing older with your, with your listeners, but are you going to be doing this when you're 65?
What a horrible,
in a wheelchair? Huh?
Yeah, I mean, we're not Jerry Rice. We don't have to run, 440s, and when we can't run them anymore, we have to hang it up. We don't do anything athletic. We just talk. So as long as you can do that, you can stay in the game, as long as you're willing to be somebody that doesn't let time pass you by and you're relevant. I mean, TV is full of guys that went, into their 70s and 80s and left on their own terms. We feel the same way. We'll quit when we feel like quitting.
Nice. Well, you've got a huge fan base that I don't think wants you to quit anytime soon.
They don't.
So thank you. They don't.
We need the money.
Huh?
And we need the money, so.
Well, yeah. I mean, don't you have a teenager? Is there college? Like kitty expenses coming up?
She takes a few classes, but there's no full-time college. But she has other expenses. Trust me. It never ends. My friends who have older kids, in their 20s, 30s, or whatever, they're like, it never ends.
It never ends.
It never ends.
No. I want to thank you so much for coming on Joe TV and giving us a glimpse behind the scenes of one of the top radio morning show broadcasters, what you music.
It's great to be on here, and I want to tell your subscribers, you're doing the right thing, networking and being a community. You can all help each other. You really need to do it. So like the Talent Joe page and subscribe to it, because it's totally worth it to have all these people in your corner. There's no telling who you can network with or who wants to take you on a ride with you, especially if you're an artist. Magic can happen. So you all are stronger as one than out there by yourselves, so you should do it.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Bye.
No, bye.
Hi, Facebook family. It's your girl, Maria Whatley, coming to you live from Talent Joe again. And I have the pleasure of interviewing one of my own and favorites of all time, Miss Elana Boushell. How, baby doll? How are you?
I am doing good.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you too.
All right. Well, at least this time I didn't have to go all the way to Alaska to find you again, huh? I can see you.
Yeah.
All right, my love. Well, let's get started with our interview. I want to tell all the fans out there, you won the model category, which means you definitely like modeling and taking pictures and whatnot. Can you tell the fans out there, what age were you when you knew that this was something you wanted to do?
When I was around 5 or 6, I remember doing the Nordstrom's fashion shows and stuff, and I like going down the runway and I do a little pose on the end. I like doing that for a while, and I don't know, I just kind of like posing for pictures, and I did all these kind of weird poses and stuff, but I think that's when I started realizing that's what I wanted to do.
All right, good. When you think about doing some of the modeling, I know a lot of the girls out there that are interested and starting younger, and some are starting older. Can you tell them a little bit about print modeling? Like when you think of print, what are some of those advertisers out there you'd like to be on? What are some of the brands you'd like to be modeling for? So in case there's some industry professionals out there or managers or agencies that are on Talent Joe looking for brand new models, what are some of the companies you'd like to model for? Like Gap and so on.
I like to model for maybe something like Gap or Target and stuff. And I also like Forever 21 and stuff. I think you have to be a little bit older to model for them, but I like the stores like that, like Forever 21, H&M, and things like that.
Those are fabulous. Absolutely. Yeah. And how tall are you, Elana?
I am 5'7".
And you're how old?
13.
Wonderful. So that still means you have a lot of room for growth still, which hitting the runway at your height right now is fabulous. And then by the time you're 18, you should really be at your peak of like your height. So I'm thinking a couple more inches you're going to grow, right?
Yeah, I think I'm going to grow a few more.
Very good. Can you tell the fans out there, Elana, what does it mean for you to be a part of Talent Joe? Why do you like being a part of it?
I like being a part of Talent Joe because I kind of think it's cool how you can just kind of share what you do. Like, models, they share their photos from photo shoots they've done. And I know there's artists on there too, so they kind of get to share what they do. And I just think it's cool that you get to share.
Okay. Now, here's the $100,000 question. If you won the $50,000, what would you want to do with the money?
I'd probably try coming to LA so I could try doing auditions, kind of use it for like traveling back and forth and trying to get maybe just photo shoots done and things like that, trying to help me.
That's right. Having the right photos is everything. As a model, you need the right photos. So if you can't market yourself correctly, no one's going to take a look at it. So you're right. You always have to invest in yourself. So fans out there, I want you guys to take note to what Elana is talking about right now. When people say, Miss Maria, can you manage me? Are you going to pay for my studio time? Are you going to pay for my photos? Is this included? You guys have to learn. You have to invest in yourself or find someone who's willing to invest in you. And then that's how that's going to work. Building your brand is everything, but it starts with your own promotions, okay? So Elana, tell us a little bit about, for the contest, how are you going about sharing Talent Joe for people to vote for you? Because you want to start now. What are you telling everyone?
I'm just telling people about the site. Like, I'll talk to my friends about it and I'm like, come vote for me on Talent Joe. And then I tell them about the site a bit and what it is and what you do.
Excellent. Yeah. Thank you. We appreciate that. Totally. One last thing I want to talk to you about. As a role model, as a young girl, a young model, what could you share with some of the other girls who are thinking about starting modeling that could be shy and introverted and not having a lot of friends and could be getting bullied in school? Could you share a little bit about, what you would want them to know about you?
I don't really let things like that bother me. Because say something like someone's bullying you about how you look or something like that, you kind of have to think, well, that really doesn't matter. That's their opinion. It matters what you think about yourself. So, yeah, like if someone's bullying you about how you look, you just got to remember that it's your opinion that matters and it's not theirs.
Right. And learning to love yourself.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Love who you are. Absolutely fabulous. Well, guys, I want to thank Elana Boushell for taking the time to interview with us today. I want you guys to go on and vote for her in the overall model category. And of course, since I found her in Alaska, I think she can do it all. I would love for her to pursue the acting as well. So whatever category, she's going for, give her the love, give her the support, and show her that she definitely can make it to the $50,000 cash prize. So Elana, thank you so much. And we will be talking shortly because you'll be here this summer.
Yeah.
All right, wonderful. Fans and friends out there, thank you for tuning in today for Talent Joe TV. Don't forget to follow me on Maria's Talent on Instagram, Global Image Talent Management. Until we see the next Talent Joe winner, we'll see you then. Bye now.
And welcome all of you out there in Joe TV land. Welcome to Talent Joe. I have another amazing winner for you. Oh my goodness. And I am so excited to introduce you to Jodi Skeris. She started improvising and sketching back in Wisconsin in about 2002 until she moved to New York in 2004. She began her training in New York at UCB and expanded to Armando Diaz's Magnet Theater, as well as the People's Improv Theater. She has performed in many sketches, indie house musical improv teams, plays, musicals, web series, videos, shorts, and indie features in New York, and might I add, an award-winning infomercial. And she currently resides in Los Angeles, and she has performed in New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco. She's a proud member of IO West sketch team Wilton. Pack Theater improv team Big Yellow Taxi, and the UCB show that she directs and produces called #DeafTalent and ASL Comedy. She performs sketches, characters, various theaters around the Los Angeles area while writing, shooting, and auditioning in various things. She's one of my very, very favorite talents that I am so excited to introduce you to. Welcome, Jodi. Hi!
Hi, I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm so excited. So what have you been up to? I love that you're doing your own stuff. I love that you have your own shows. I mean, things are just hopping. Tell me more.
Yeah, I'm busy all the time. I have the sketch team, Wilton, that I'm a part of. I'm an actor and a writer. We have a show once a month. And we also do a best of show at iOS, which we have one this Wednesday. I'll be performing in that. And then, I perform every Thursday night improv at the Pack Theater with Big Yellow Taxi. You already said all this.
So let's go back to your roots, right? Like, you are one of my favorite comedians. I honestly think SNL needs to just come knocking on your door and just, take you to New York and just have you be there. Because, I could totally see you doing that. And it would be amazing. So talk to me about what inspired you. How did you get started in comedy?
I got started in comedy through a very interesting direction. I was a competitive cheerleader for many years, for 13 years. And through that, I was a teacher, one of the instructors at those cheerleading camps. And how we gave out awards was through really lightly written sketches. So you had a basic premise, and then you improvised around the premise. And then you incorporated the team's name in the end. And I was a part of that troupe for 3 years, and it just sort of became my thing, those sketches. And people, those camps are huge. Everybody goes to them. Parents go to the final thing, and they're like, it's a huge thing. And I just remember it very distinctly. After one of the award nights, this parent came up to me. She was beaten, just red, beat in the face, tears streaming down. And she came up to me. She's like, "You are so funny. You're like Lily Tomlin. I love you so much." And I was just like, whoa. I was so taken aback and so moved. And I was like, how can I do more of this? Because I really love it. And it's a lot of fun. I love the audience reactions. I just love it. So that's how it got started. And I eventually did comedy sports in Madison, Wisconsin. And then when I moved to New York, I did UCB within seconds of moving there.
So for those who don't know, what is UCB?
UCB stands for the Upright Citizens Brigade Theater, which was founded by the UCB4, which, oh my gosh, am I going to blank on their names? I shouldn't. It's Amy Poehler, Matt Wall, Dean Roberts, and Matt Besser. Yeah, got it. I should know, a part of that, community for, over a decade. But they started in New York. They branched from Chicago and started their own theater and their own school. So I've been in classes there since 2004. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Awesome. So who are some of your sketch team directors? I hear you've got some really awesome, amazing ones.
I had some amazing experiences with great directors and coaches. I put up 2 very different one-woman shows when I was in New York. The first one was directed by Eliza Skinner. She was incredibly talented. She's a great stand-up comedian and writer. Before she did stand-up, she did a lot of writing, and she did her own one-woman show, which ran for a very long time in New York. It was brilliant. And I was lucky to have her as one of my directors. And then after that, I worked with Neil Casey, who is a writer on Saturday Night Live, was in the most recent Ghostbusters movie. He's also brilliant. So early on, I got to work with geniuses, and now I get to work with more geniuses. A couple of years ago, I worked with Gina Ippolito. She was my director, and she's since worked on Powderpuff Girls, was a writer on that, and has worked on a ton of other stuff. And I'm currently working with Anna Cecilia, who is a writer here in LA, and she's written on stuff for Awesomeness TV and CBS Diversity Showcase and stuff like that. So I'm very lucky.
Very, very lucky. So do you still do improv?
Oh, yes. Every Thursday night I have that improv.
Oh, yeah. You said that. That. Awesome. Okay, now here's the thing. So most people think when you do comedy, like you're a comedian, you're funny all the time. I've actually watched you kill it in an infomercial doing commercial work. Matter of fact, I don't know if you know, they won an award for that.
I did not know that. That's awesome.
So, yeah, and remarkably, you look exactly like the girl on the front of the package. Exactly. I mean, exactly. Same hair and everything, which was hysterical. But yeah, they won an award for that at a startup, something new product, something. I want to say Kevin Harrington gave him an award, or could have been one of the other sharks. But yeah, good job, by the way.
Hey, no problem.
You're an award-winning actress.
Yes.
I love it. Okay, so I know you're funny. I know you can do improv. I've seen you dance. I've seen you cheer, which is part of the reason I love you. 16 years of cheerleading myself. So, I get it. It's that smile through anything 20 hours a day, and no matter what, you're just going to go team go and keep it going.
Yeah.
It's an attitude that serves well in life. But do you do dramatic works as well? I mean, can you flip? Can you flip that switch, or are you all comedy all the time?
I love flipping the switch. My acting coach is Paul Kampf, and he often has pushed me in that direction. And again, getting the feedback from the audience or whoever's watching, whether it's just the director, I have made them cry, and it's so satisfying. It's sadistic, but it's great to just make the audience connect and relate with you. And the Pack Theater has another show called The Range, which I got to be part of, and I put up a monologue that's a drama, and I cry in it. And it's great to show improvisers, sketch comedians, we're actors.
Wait, you cry? As in you cry on cue?
I cry on cue.
That is so badass.
And a lot of that is thanks to Paul Kampf, who, I worked with him a lot. I was like, how do people do that? And then I learned how to do that.
It's a trick. Yes, definitely. And it is amazing. So I know you love theater. I know you love performing live and in front of an audience. But, if a series were to drop in your lap, would you say yes? Would you move to TV or film and not do the live bits? Or are you firmly ensconced and headed for Broadway?
I am, no, what? Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready for film and TV, 1,000%. I mean, it's funny because all the sketch team that I'm on, we also shoot video, and we're very well aware of the fact that we are geared for film and TV. I am writing a short right now. We just shot a short sketch series last week, and I think it's actually going to air today.
Yeah.
And so, yes, very much so, ready to do any TV series, film, that would be amazing. I love working on set. It's just, it's like candy. It's so fun.
Awesome. Now, something I mentioned early on in your bio, and we haven't really touched on yet, but I do want to touch on it, is that you also know sign language, American Sign Language, and I literally can spell the alphabet, and that's as far as I got, other than hi. Something literally, I know this is Jay. Right? I learned that in Girl Scout camp. But, you take it to a whole new level. You actually have an entire sketch improv with signing? What is that?
Yeah, so, I learned American Sign Language 15 years ago while I was getting my undergraduate degree at University of Minnesota, and I recently graduated from an interpreting program. And through that, I had to take a deaf studies class and discovered that deaf talent doesn't have the same opportunities that hearing talent does. And because I just thought, I was thinking of them. I was like, who are other comedians I could reach out to that are deaf? And there's not a lot of them. And
I'm blanking on her last name. She's tall. She's my friend's friend. I've met her 3 times. Tall. Kathy.
Kathy. I haven't met Kathy. I want to meet Kathy. And I know
Deaf. Hold on. Deaf comedian Kathy. I'm Googling right now. Theory. Who is deaf comedian Kathy? Let's ask her. Theory. Who is deaf comedian named Kathy? Let's see.
Okay.
No.
Here's what I found.
Kathy Buckley.
Deaf comedian.
Kathy Buckley. I don't know her.
Kathy Buckley is amazing, and she's super funny. And I will introduce you.
Please. Yes. Well, at the time, I only could find CJ Jones, who is located in the Los Angeles area. And he's a pretty well-known deaf comedian. And I got in contact with him, and so I had this idea for a show at UCB to showcase deaf talents, because almost every deaf friend that I have, deaf or hard of hearing, they're hysterical, and I'm just like, nobody knows you, you're so funny. And so through that, it's a lot of legwork. I had to just wrangle and connect to the community, and now we just recently had a meeting. I have a group of amazing deaf talent. Recently, our last show, we did sketches. A couple of people did stand-up. I had one set where it was one deaf performer and one hearing performer, and they did no language, and it was amazing. Like, people didn't know who was the deaf person, who was the hearing, which was, like, my goal. It's like,
that is awesome.
It was so awesome. It was so funny. They played off of each other wonderfully. It was Dickie Hartz and Brian O'Connell. They're so talented. I just I get chills even thinking about it. And CJ Jones is so fun to watch. He just interacts with the audience. His stand-up material is golden. And he's been booking like nuts lately, which is so great to see my friends succeed and other friends succeed. So yeah, it's just showing the industry, yes, if you have a deaf role, cast deaf talents. They're out there.
That's what I was going to ask. How do you feel about that? Because most of the time they cast a hearing first person to play a deaf person, and that seems to me like that would be no bueno for you.
That is no bueno for me. There are actors that will accept those roles. Those actors are not immersed in the deaf community. They don't understand what that community is going through, is struggling with, the oppression, and everything that comes with it. And it's like, if there's a deaf role, there's so few of them, why take it?
Well, it's only ever going to go to Marlee Matlin.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And she's great and brilliant, but there are other great and brilliant performers out there that are deaf or hard of hearing.
But she's an accepted, a celebrity. So we have to go make a few more celebrities on that major level so that,
Absolutely.
not always a shoo-in.
They're even, and this is another point that I've just recently started to delve into, where there are even hard of hearing actors, some of them who lost their hearing later, who can speak.
Yeah.
And there are deaf individuals that speak as well, but it seems like more of the hard of hearing actors will go on auditions and they'll still need an interpreter. And once the crew finds that out, or production, they're like, oh no, we can't, that's too much. We can't handle. And it's like, but if they're brilliant, have them perform.
Right.
It's fine. Just get an interpreter.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Is that me or you?
I don't know.
Not me. Maybe
Not me. Is it me? Oh my gosh, it is me. I'm hanging up on them. I don't even know how to turn that off.
Side button.
There we go. Just turn it off.
Or not.
I don't know how to leave it.
So mine rang, but I got it before it rang.
Oh, yours rang too?
But I got it before it actually rang. The notification popped up, and I'm like, delete! Voicemail!
Oh, man. not closing out a bunch of stuff. I'm like, what else can make noise on this thing?
I know. That's okay. So what is, so we know that you perform regularly. Do you have anything else that you want to tell the audience about? Where can they find you? What's your website? How do you like to engage with your fans? You know, what do they need to know so that they can come play with you?
I'm pretty easy to find. You just Google my name, Jodi Skeris, and like a billion things pop up. And I have my website, jodiskeris.com.
Perfect.
And Twitter is jskeris. Don't let that trip you up.
Okay.
Instagram is also jskeris. Oh, no, wait. Twitter is Jodi Skeris. Oh, here we go.
Yep. Everything is linked from jodiskeris.com.
It all stems from Jodi Skeris.
It's all there. All the links, all the time, everything you could ever want. She's wonderful. She's fabulous. Courtney says, hey. Morgan says, hashtag the real deal. That is actually where I found Jodi in the first place, and she was the audience favorite. So everybody absolutely loves Jodi. You will too. I guarantee it. So go check her out. Go visit her in Los Angeles. Go see one of her shows. And congratulations on winning Talent Joe.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.